We have a lot of characters in Fire Emblem Heroes, and demoted units tend to get some decent love and attention from players because they are just plain easier to get. You may not be specifically looking to get them, but over time, because they're in that 3 to 4 star summoning pool, you have a much higher chance of attaining them versus just getting some random 5 star. Today I wanted to talk about 4 of our demoted units who also happen to come with their own unique weapons. I did also want to do a little bit of fun theory crafting about refines for these units, since they could potentially get picked for an upgrade possibly within the next year, although I wouldn't expect it anytime soon. The main goal for this video is to bring awareness about these units to any newer players, since you may already have some of these heroes in your barracks, and some of them could make for some fun merge projects. First off, I want to briefly talk about a 5th demoted hero who has a unique weapon. The Reinhardt is universally known by just about anyone who plays this game, but he's actually the last Book 1 unit who got demoted that hasn't gotten a refine for his unique weapon. Dire Thunder is just so strong that it may in fact never get a refine. The fact that Reinhardt got demoted at all accelerated his rise to fame because literally everyone could get him at some point. It's just so insane that the devs now just give a 5-star copy of Reinhardt out for free from the Hero's Path quest. Now I don't feel the need to discuss refine ideas for Dire Thunder because again, I don't think it's going to happen for a long time, if ever, but just from the past half a year, Reinhardt has gotten access to some incredible skills to improve his firepower. Low res B skills are potent, and you can get Death Blow 4 and Death Blow 3 as a sacred seal. There is even Joint Drive attack for extra damage from the C slot. Reinhardt is a prime example of a demoted unit who is still really good because he has that unique weapon on hand. The main 4 units I wanted to discuss are all from Book 2, and these guys could definitely get selected for refines once we start winding down on the Book 1 units. First up is Sothe, who is an infantry dagger unit. He has 39 HP, 36 attack, 33 speed, 22 defense, and 21 resistance. Now Sothe's main benefit is his high base attack, which is the highest among the low rarity dagger units. In fact, the only infantry dagger unit who even beats him is Layla, and the rest are all limited time seasonal units. With life and death in his base kit, Sothe has some impressive firepower for a dagger unit, and among non-5-star units, his closest comparison would be Kagado. Lucky for Sothe, his unique dagger D.D.D Peshkatz is pretty nifty, and its 14 might is really nice compared to Kagado's old poison dagger, which only maxed out at 5 might. Unfortunately, Peshkatz has no in-combat effects, but should Sothe make an attack, he will apply -4 debuffs to all stats on his target and any foes within 2 spaces, while also giving himself and nearby allies +4 to all stats. If you're familiar with Brave Veronica, this is the same effect as her unique staff. Now before we get to refine ideas, it should be noted that Sothe has found an inheritable dagger he uses extremely well. The Broadly Fan Plus is from Summer Lena, but it has the reverse blade tome effect, where any debuffs on the enemy give bonus attack to the user. If the enemy has -7 defense and resistance on them, Sothe would get +14 extra attack. As you can see, Broadly Fan gives Sothe an in-combat benefit, and as a low rarity unit, you can hopefully get a copy with a plus attack boon for more damage. The weapon requires some setup, but it's very fun when it works, much like a blade tome. Now in relevant news, it seems almost too much of a coincidence that Duo Micaiah and Sothe has introduced the Dominance status to the game. Dominance is essentially the same as the Broadly Fan effect, but it adds true damage rather than extra attack, and that's a pretty big difference. For a Peshkatz refine, would a Dominance or Broadly Fan type effect work for this weapon? I think it would be possible, since again Peshkatz applies -4 debuffs to all enemy stats, and it would work similarly to Matthew's refine. I do think the true damage effect of Dominance would be too strong, but we can always hope and dream. Now, let's discuss some of the other refine ideas. What about Vantage? It could be an altered Vantage effect, much like Kronya, and would be nice with Peshkatz's whole big stat advantage playstyle. Close counter is another possibility if we don't want to copy Matthew or Kronya, but I think it would have to be a situational close counter much like Julia has. Maybe it would only work if the enemy has debuffs on them, or they need to have a certain total number of debuffs, which is a mechanic I think only Claude's bow utilizes. I mean, counting total number of buffs on the user or debuffs on the enemy actually works really well with Peshkatz's base effect, so that would be kinda neat. If they don't want to give Peshkatz anything too crazy, I would at least expect some kind of in-combat bonus. They could up the stat buffs and debuffs to something like +5 or +6, but I think to compete with the Broadly Fan's insane damage potential, Peshkatz needs some kind of upfront effect. A bit off topic, but I'm curious if the lethality or silencer one-shot ability will ever make its way into Fae. I'm sure it would require some insane activation condition because it would obviously be really OP to just kill any unit in the game instantly. I'm still holding out for Volk with lethality one day, but you're gonna have to pay him 1,000 ARPs to summon him. Moving on, we have La Rochelle, who is a Blue Mage Cavalier. She has 33 HP, 33 attack, 31 speed, 17 defense, and 31 resistance. Her unique tome is Ivaldi, and it grants +3 defense, plus if the enemy has 100% HP, La Rochelle gets +3 attack and speed during combat. First off, Ivaldi is basically the same as Mage Erica's Gleipnir tome. The two of them released on the same banner, but Erica is a 5-star unit, although she can be gotten for free from the Hero's Path quest. Both of these weapons in their base forms are a solid 3 extra defense for a unit with 33 HP and 17 defense is kinda just useless for La Rochelle. She does appreciate the 3 extra attack and speed, and all things considered, La Rochelle does have decent attack and speed for a Mage Cavalier. The bar isn't that high for this class type, but with an attacker speed boon it's not too terrible. The main problem for La Rochelle as a demoted unit is that she pretty much gets overshadowed by Reinhardt completely. La Rochelle could maybe be a res tank, but for the most part, she's focusing on attack and speed. If you want an offensive Blue Mage Cavalier, it's just impossible to ignore how much damage Reinhardt pumps out and his ease of use. His reign of terror was definitely still going on at the time. Now if you've been playing for the past couple months, you may have saw that Gleipnir got a refine, the +3 attack and speed got increased to +4, and Erica would inflict -4 at all stats on the enemy without negating any stat debuffs on herself. In layman terms, she gets a very easy +8 attack and speed if she fights a full HP foe, and it's quite a nice bonus with relatively little setup. While La Rochelle gets a refine for Ivaldi, she could just simply copy Gleipnir's upgrade, and I would be okay with that. However, that's a little boring, so I'm hoping they take Ivaldi in a different direction. It's not unprecedented for a unique weapon to get a complete base effect overhaul, and that could immediately change things drastically. Honestly, I was a bit sad that La Rochelle wasn't going to have Latona because unique staff weapons are nearly non-existent on normal new heroes, while she can wield Ivaldi just fine. In Sacred Stones, La Rochelle definitely felt more like a troubadour first, and a legendary staff would have been nice to see. I don't think they would give Latona to another character, but maybe it can be tacked on to Ivaldi in some way. Taking some inspiration from Mini Merrick's Righteous Wind special, I would love to see Ivaldi gain a team support or healing aspect. For example, maybe give Ivaldi a slang effect, and when La Rochelle procs her special, she heals her whole team. Maybe it could have a much larger range Breath of Life effect like Lynn's Aura Tome used to have. Maybe we try to do something like Annette's Rally Movement effect from Crusher. If La Rochelle rallies an ally, she heals them for X amount of HP, and the Refine could add a Ruse Beastco ability to debuff enemies. While I do think La Rochelle needs some combat improvement, I just think the shadow of Reinhardt is too big. Every single Blue Mage Cavalier immediately gets compared to him, and pretty much all of them are focused on dealing damage, which is literally the guy's main purpose. Tanky Mage Cavs are also at a huge base stat disadvantage, which is rather apparent from La Rochelle's off of 33 HP. I wouldn't mind something like a simple stat boost, but I'm hoping for some creativity over the usual +4 at all stats. Next up we have Male Morgan, who is a red infantry mage. He has 37 HP, 33 attack, 34 speed, 20 defense, and 26 resistance. Despite female Morgan being a 5-star only unit, she did not have a unique weapon, and only got one with a refine recently. It's a 4-to-my tome that grants +3 defense, and after combat, if Morgan attacked, he inflicts -5 attack and speed on the target and falls within 2 spaces. He will also buff himself and nearby allies with +5 attack and speed for 1 turn. If this sounds familiar, that's because Grima's Truth is sorta just the magic damage tome version of Peshkatz. Instead of +4 and -4 to all stats, this time we have -5 and +5 to attack and speed. Now, like we mentioned with Sothe Peshkatz, Grima's Truth doesn't offer Morgan an in-combat bonus until he attacks. Morgan can be plenty annoying once he applies those debuffs and buffs himself up, but in the first round of combat, this weapon only provides 3 extra defense really. Now in terms of stats, Male Morgan does well for himself as a red infantry mage. He matches up nicely with Darja if you're looking for a decently fast low rarity red mage. Darja got a pretty good weapon and refine for her blade tome, so Morgan may want to focus on some other effects versus pure damage output. For refines, I guess our first question is, should Grima's Truth cover all 4 stats like Peshkatz, or do we just go for a bigger attack and speed debuff and buff? I think if they don't want to completely copy Peshkatz or Veronica's staff, they could just bump the base effect to -6 and +6 attack and speed. I think they will keep the debuff and buffing effect the same, so what could we add to it, besides all the things we mentioned for Peshkatz? Well, I actually think they could just do something similar to Tharja's Hex's refine with an in-combat debuff to attack and speed. That would synergize with the attack and speed field buffs and debuffs at play already, but copying Tharja, who is already similar stat-wise, is kinda strange. That being said, low attacking speed would be neat, and we have had low refines already. Now, something I didn't mention for Peshkatz is having an effect that would allow Sothe and Morgan to apply their debuffs and buffs without getting countered back. Cycling back to Mini Merrick again, I really like the no follow plus wind sweep combo. Ranged units in general have a tough time with distant counter users, so being able to avoid some of them is really nice. It's partly why Brave Veronica is so annoying, because Dazzling Staff allows you to attack for free, and the huge stat advantage afterwards can alter the upcoming battles. I think for Morgan this could be an interesting ability to have and could work for more defensive builds. I'm not sure if they would actually just hand out no follow-up on a refine, but maybe an altered version of Wind or Water Sweep could work. I'd like for Peshkatz and Grima's Truth to be more useful, but without direct in-combat benefits, it's just tough to compete with other units who have so many stat increases and special cooldown reduction effects to help end fights quickly in one round. The last unit I wanted to talk about today is Ares. This guy's probably the most useful and fun when using his unique sword, and definitely the main reason I wanted to make this video in the first place. Ares is a sword cavalier with 40 HP, 36 attack, 30 speed, 33 defense, and 18 resistance. He has great base attack for a cavalry unit, and you're probably going to want a plus attack boon to go along with his Dark Mystletainn. This 16 might sword accelerates specials and has the effect of Special Spiral 3. If Ares triggers his special before or during combat, he gets -2 special cooldown after combat. Now, Special Spiral is just an incredibly fun skill, and having it on a slaying weapon is crazy good. Cavalry cannot even use Special Spiral, so Ares already stands out among his peers, and he can already do a lot of fun things with this weapon. The easiest is to use Vantage with a 3 cooldown special like Bonfire. Once Bonfire activates, Ares can recharge it over and over, and with Vantage he gets to unleash it first if the enemy initiates. Add in Distant Counter and a Brazen Tag at Defense Sacred Seal, and you have one scary dude. Another interesting setup involves Mystic Boost and Miracle, where basically Ares uses Heavy Blade plus Dark Mystletainn to recharge Miracle after it procs. Mystic Boost ensures Ares always has more than 1 HP to keep abusing the combo, and while this isn't some crazy unbeatable build, it's just really funny to see in action when it works. Dark Mystletainn is easily one of the best unique weapons on a low rarity unit. To even imagine a refine for this weapon is pretty crazy. I think it's one of those that doesn't need a huge boost in power, so something like a simple stat boost would suffice. For example, I think an activation condition they could use is Saber's Refine, where you add an effect when your special is ready. You could have something like +5 attack and defense during combat if special is ready before combat. Saber himself gets distant counter, but there's no way they would add that to Ares considering he can actually abuse it very well. I think if they wanted to add a skill, then maybe a lull ability like low attack and defense to get rid of enemy field buffs. Honestly, even that already sounds too good, but whenever we actually get to refining Dark Mystletainn in the far future, who knows what's considered going too far. Now, for a one-time ability, they could add the refine that they gave to Navarre and Sonya, which is to grant -2 special cooldown on turn 1. The hardest part of Special Spiral builds is actually getting to that first special activation, so this would be a nice little bump for Ares. I would definitely say that out of the 4 units we talked about today, Ares still utilizes his personal weapon the most effectively. That's all for this video. Maybe you learned something about some of our 3 to 4 star summonable units, and you might already have a couple of these guys sitting in the barracks. For those of you who have built up any of these heroes, please feel free to share what you've done with them, especially if you have kept their unique legendary weapons on hand. For me, I've been trying to invest in building up my Sacred Stones units, and I've been thinking about +10ing Lara Show just because. Maybe I'll get around to it if she ever gets that Ivaldi refine. Thanks for watching, and last minute quick announcement, but I recently put out a community post talking about making content for Arknights. I would appreciate it if you would read that post and participate in the quick poll about whether you're currently playing the game or if you have even heard of it. If you already have, thanks a lot, and I'll be trying to piece together a video about the game sometime after the next Fae update, which is tonight as this video goes live. That's all I have for now. I'll see you guys in the next video.